Have you ever sat and stared at it, marveled at its beauty, its genius? I'd like to share with you a revelation I've had in my time here. And I found this to be a little wacko. What's going on, everybody? I love that movie, by the way. I have all of them, all four. The fourth one, everybody knows, is meh, doesn't really add to the storyline, but in any case, I digress. What we have here is a Pumptec 107 SS. Okay, this is the heart of my water maker. So a lot of people have built water makers around this pump. There's a really great YouTube channel, Abroad, A-B-R-O-A-D, Abroad Reach Travel. They built one. He's got a great video about it. He's got links to several of the components. I paid $629 for this pump. Plus shipping came out to $660 through Schooner Chandlery. You might be able to find a better deal. I don't know. I've picked up a couple extra components at this point. Here's my needle valve that you regulate the flow after the membrane to reach the desired pressure. Here is a pressure gauge to tell you the desired pressure. But I really believe this is going to be a great project when I get the rest of the components assembled. My plan is to hopefully mount this in the bilge area here on top of the keel. I plan to feed it from the drain line from the sink in the head. And the reason for doing that is I can easily close the seacock to that, fill the sink with some freshwater product from the water maker, and flush it when I'm done making water. You always want to flush it when you're done, and that'll just be an easy way to do it. So we'll see how all that goes. That's a bit of a future project, still gathering components, as I said. Today, what we are doing, and you may or may not know exactly what my instrument setup has been. I have had a Garmin, well, you've seen it in some of the videos, but I've had a Garmin GPS. I believe it's the 540 model. And I have removed that because I have been able to find a 740 series, much larger screen. It's also a touch screen, and I am in the process of changing out the GPS. Now, something I never really used, and that used to mount up over here, and you may have noticed it in earlier videos, was a Vesper watchmate system. I never really used it. What it did have was a nice display for the AIS. My radio is where, my VHF radio is where it got the signal, okay? So this Garmin is able to take that signal and display the AIS on its screen. So I'll have simply one screen, cockpit visible AIS data on it, along with the GPS chart data. So that's what I'm in the process of doing. I have another piece of equipment that I haven't shown you yet, another eBay find, but it is this. And that is the Raymarine Speed and Depth, which is going to go out there in the cockpit where the autopilot head is at the moment. So today's project is simply to remove that head and simply install the Raymarine head for now. And then tomorrow I'm going to come back and finish wiring up the GPS and get that done. So I'm going to change out of my Agent Smith shirt and get to work. All right, so the bezels pop on. and they're held in 4 places by little plastic tabs. Now, how you're supposed to get it back off, I'm not really sure. We're gonna try to eat it, I guess. I don't know. I don't have a good tool for getting behind there. Oh, look at that. There you go. Folks, I may have just discovered something. The fork may be... Oh, look at that. Look at that. So there's your secret right there. Use a freaking fork. And there's the screws. That's pretty darn straightforward. I love it. Let's get a screwdriver. There you go. That was much easier than I thought it was going to be. Well, I wasn't really going to start this project today, but since the other one went so well, I'm going to get a little jump on it. And that is the mounting of my new GPS, or new old GPS, since it is a used unit. Now, what I've got, what was here, is this little swivel like so many boats use when they mount them on the inside. This new one's a little bigger, and what I had to do was make this little wooden piece that I mounted the bracket to right there, and that of course is going to mount on here. I'll put some screws in from underneath, and to get the clearance I wanted height-wise, my handrail gets in the way a bit. So I made up this little piece, which I've used this wood and this technique in a lot of these other little pieces, the shelves notably and whatnot. And essentially this is just poplar wood from Home Depot, hobby pieces, whatever you want to call them. And I use, from Minwax, I use their Poly Shades Natural Cherry. I just like the color. So I basically just glued a couple of pieces here together, routed out the edges a little bit, just kind of beveled them to give it a little shape. You're not even really going to see this piece, but it's going to go up here, and then the bracket of course will mount on it, and it'll give me enough clearance around this. So I've just got to figure out exactly where I want it in order to get the GPS to clear the overhead when it comes in. I believe it's going to work really well. So I'm going to go ahead and tackle that. Alright, I've made some pretty good progress yesterday getting this mounted, getting this into the wiring done. It's powered, although I haven't turned it on. I haven't terminated the end of the panel yet. But I'm finishing up the connections to the VHF. This is the data out, positive, negative, which they recommend. There is no real negative connection to the Garmin, so they just recommend taking this to the chassis ground, common ground, which all grounds lead to the same place on a sailboat most of the time. So we're going to put on some connectors that'll allow me to disconnect it if I ever have to without just cutting wires, and finishing this up, and then we're going to terminate this, power it up, and see if we get targets on the Garmin, which we did once. Hopefully we'll do it again. Oh, and have I showed you this cool little tool that I picked up off of Amazon? It's just a tiny little hot air gun. It's excellent for doing the heat shrink stuff. And a matter of fact, it came with like a zillion pieces of heat shrink tubing in multicolor. So pretty cool little deal. Here goes nothing. Alright, there's our chart. Here's where we are. Okay. Now let's flip on the radio. Show me some targets. Let someone be out there. If there's no targets, we won't know. Does not appear to be a single target out there. I'll be back. Let me give you a tip. If you want your radio to work really well, make sure that the antenna is actually connected, okay? I went to put it back up in its bracket and realized the antenna was not connected. I got AIS targets all over the map now, so I think that we are successful. Yeah, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's actually moving. The other 3 are stationary, so it's people sitting around. But, man, that's awesome. That's some good stuff. Super happy about that. I don't know what I'm gonna do now. I may just relax. I don't know. Just gonna wrap this up. Really just kind of wanted to show you guys the water pump, or the for the high pressure pump for the water maker, and throw this project in because I thought it was very interesting. All is good. Wrapping this up. Appreciate everybody watching. Leave a comment. Talking over here. I'm trying to talk over here. Anyways, appreciate everybody watching. Leave a comment, please, you know, if you got questions. And, yep, old man, over and out.